Hey team, what's good, what's happening? Welcome back to HG Designs Crochet, HGDC. This is my channel all about the granny squares, motherhood, and running a crochet business and everything in between. I hope that you're tickety-boo and that all is well in your part of the world. Today I've got the traditional sit down, have a chat about crochet type vlog. I've got a couple of finished objects, a couple of things that I'm working on and all the bits and bobs like that. So without further ado, introduce yourselves. This is the first video, crochet related video. I think this is the first video this year where I'm showing you things I've crocheted, so that's very exciting. Today is the 3rd of March and I'm going to be talking about everything that I've made so far this year, which in all honesty I mainly made throughout February anyway. I feel like I have recorded one of these videos already this year and maybe I just haven't gotten around to editing it and putting it up, so I'll have to check, because I also recorded some other content as well, and then when it came to editing, Okay, so what am I wearing? I am wearing my own pattern. This is Revival and it's available on my website, on Etsy. It is a double knit acrylic. You can use whatever double knit you want. I use a double knit acrylic. It's granny squares. I've made mine cropped. Again, you can adjust the length and it's super snuggly and I just love it. And I also have a matching bag called Takeover, which I released in January, and you can no longer get that pattern. You won't be able to get that until August now. And the other thing I want to mention, special mention, is to my hair. I was sharing the step-by-step of this on Instagram. You helped me pick what colour, because I put a little vote up and the main colour was multicolored and white, and so I went with the bits of white, but I chose to go with pink in there as the multicolour. So this is using the Expressions range and I've used 2 bags of the Vintage Rose, which is the pink that you can see up here, and then I used I'm still using, because it's not finished, a bag of the lilac, a bag of silver and a bag of white, and then I just blended it in myself. So on some of them there is more white, like this one is white and pink, and then some of these, this one has got the white and the lilac, and yeah, I'm not sure how well the colours are showing up, but I will put some more footage in. It's very nearly finished. I have a section back here that I still need to do. I started this last Sunday, a week ago on Sunday, so a week ago yesterday, and I decided to start my hair, to start digging up part of the garden, to start a kitchen project, and also I had a pattern to put out all in the same week. So yeah, I did get the pattern out and I'm probably going to sit and finish my hair tonight. So that's my outfit details, and then we're going to go into finished objects. I have 2 of them and I'm really, really proud of them both. The first one I'm going to show you is this month's Subscription Squad bag. So the bag for March and April, and it is this. Oh. Team, I want to introduce you to my Comfort crossbody bag. It has a zip. It's 100% crochet. So I have used chunky yarn, in effect it's chunky weight. I used 2 strands of double knit held together to make the lining, and I have made the outer entirely granny squares, of course, and then it has this strap and it has got black metal hardware. Let me take it off to show you. It's got black metal hardware. I've put a black zip in it, and then the handle is granny squares that side and it's the scrap on that side, and I am super pleased with this. I've had the idea in my mind for a couple of years now. I remember putting something on Instagram saying like, I need a bag that I can use hands-free with Teddy, because I love making bags but I never really have the hands to be carrying them if I'm on my own. And so I need like a day-to-day bag. This is like day-to-day wear. I can have this on me if we're at soft plays. I can have my phone, because I don't know why my clothing just never seems to have pockets. On the rare occasion like today when I have pockets, like, why? We're not witches, give us pockets. And I wanted something that would just go over any outfit. I can just put like keys and whatever bits and pieces I need in here. And then of course I always have Teddy's bag anyway for the bigger items. So I just needed like everyday use. And I remember loads of the mammas on Instagram being like, we need that bag, please make it. So when I was planning the sub squad, when I launched it, this was in the lineup. And when I was reviewing this year's plans, I was like, it is time. So I actually started making a much bigger version, and it just wasn't vibing. It seemed too big. I went for like the oversized look, but it just wasn't quite working. So I made the decision Wednesday night to completely start again, and I used up some of the granny squares from the previous one, but I had sewn the ends in, which is it's really tricky, because as I'm going along I want to take step-by-step photos. So I wove in the ends on the panels, and then as I put it together, I was like, this isn't a size I want. And I'd previously pinned it all together, like used clips, and I mocked up a bit of a strap, like a handle, and then I just realised I need to start again. And I will say at that point I was like, okay, I don't know whether I should just cancel this month, because how am I going to pull this together? And I just said to Brad, I have to pull this together. Like, the sub squad is so new, I can't let it down at this stage already. And in all honesty, if I don't have this pattern ready, then this month's bills, like HGDC's bills, are not going to be covered. I need this income. So it was a really like a bit of a scary moment to be like, no, I'm going to start again, when I only had Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It was going out Saturday, so I had 2 days in effect. And as I said, I was partway through my hair and everything else going on. And I just got to work. I could see how it was going to be in my mind. I knew I could work it up quite quickly, and I put in quite a lot of hours Thursday and Friday night, getting the pattern written up, and I'm really, really pleased with it, and I'm proud of myself for sticking it through. And the reaction that I've had from everybody on Instagram and from the sub squatters has been more than worth it. What do you think? I just love how it's granny squares, but it's just crochet, and it's cute, and the size, and you can fit a decent amount of stuff in there, and it goes with so many different outfits. And yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. And then once that was finished, once this was finished, I'd unlocked a whole new skill. So the zip that I used here is the zip that comes in like the meter or the yard. So you basically get a long roll of the zip, and then you get like a little packet of the what are those doofer bangers called? The zip head. And so I was quite nervous about using them. Shout out to Zoe, because she gave me this idea for getting those zips a couple of times, and I finally decided to order them, because then it doesn't matter what size you need, you can just customize it for the bag. So I ordered it, and I'm not gonna lie, I was really nervous about trying it out and installing it, and installing it the night before the pattern goes out could have been disastrous, to be fair. But thankfully it was so simple to use. You literally just cut the zip and then I started to sew it in place. I realised that I needed to do a back stitch on either end just to stop it from coming apart, because a couple of times the zip ahead I like tried to move it and I pulled it off, and once I started to stitch the zip to the bag, that was not fun. That nearly made me have a little mentee bee, because at one point I spent like 30 minutes trying to put that stupid, silly little zip head back on. Anyway, so after I'd done this, I realised I'd unlocked a whole new skill, and I have quite a stack of bags awaiting purely to have zips installed. And I was like, okay, on to the next one. So I will say with this bag is I think that it looks really nice, like close to perfection, but there are a few things I feel like I could make look better, and I'm figuring out how I could maybe make the zip look neater, just in like, I don't know whether to tack this bit down. And I was saying to Brad, and I've said to Zoe, perfectionism is really, really, really riding me at the moment, and part of me is like, is it good enough? And I said to Brad, I feel like I'm chasing perfection. I want the photos to be perfect, I want the pattern to be perfect, I want it to be so good, and I really fear that somebody's going to say to me like that this is rubbish or give me a bad review. I've only ever had one bad review in my entire time doing HGDC, but I could probably tell you it word for word. Yeah, I've had so many 5-star reviews. Shout out to you for leaving me a review. But it's always the one negative one that just has that power, that pain, doesn't it? And so I have this thing where I just want it all to be perfect so that no one can like call me out as like a fraud, or that I don't know what I'm doing, or... And so I said to Brad, I feel like I could hold this whole pattern back to try and make sure that that zip is absolutely perfect, and same for these other bags. And then at the same time, like, am I just being over the top? And I think it's a case of, it's very similar to, I see on like knitting podcasts where they're like, I did an Italian bind off, or I did an I-cord bind off, and they say it was like so much extra work but the finish just looks really nice. And I think that's what this is, that with a little bit extra work the finish could be really, really nice. So I'm just trying to figure out what that is. I don't want you to think that this isn't good enough by me saying I would try and improve something, like, but as I said, finished this one. So I made the front panel, the back panel, the top. I did all the lining pieces, put it together, added the hardware, and I made the handle or the strap, whatever you want to call it. And actually it's so quick to make. Disclaimer, I do have a stash of granny squares, so I just had to dip into the stash, but this is so quick to make. I'm probably going to make a couple more because I want to do a photo shoot for all of my patterns. So I had a photo shoot last year. Was it last year? It feels like such a long time ago. I did a photo shoot when I released my no, it wasn't last year. It would be 2 years ago in August that I had a photo shoot for my I Heart Granny Square collection, and I really enjoyed the photo shoot, and the photos are just such a high quality, and that is what I want for all of my patterns that I've created since. So I don't actually want to wear this too much because I don't want to wreck it before I get those final photos. So quite likely going to make another one that I can then just use day to day, and it doesn't matter if it gets trashed. So I'd installed the zip, knew I've unlocked a whole other skill, and decided to put it to use. Enter this. This is the Comfort sleeve. Very similar premise. It has the zip, and it is aligned with the chunky weight, so 2 strands of double knit held together. There's a couple of ends in here to finish still, and then the outside is granny squares. This one is mega, and my reasoning for making such a big pouch is that it can either be a laptop case, like a laptop sleeve, or it can just be a huge project bag, and this does fit a lot in there. I installed the zip on this one, and I had learnt from the crossbody that I needed to back stitch the ends, so I actually did that before I put them in. I don't think black yarn is just not the easiest to show up, especially when the light is what it is. Yeah, so I back stitched both ends and then I pinned it in. I was doing some of this at night time, and that was just not the one. The black yarn is so tough to see, and it took me ages, and then the next day in daylight, like I sat in sunshine and I had it done so quickly. So for anyone that is scared or intimidated of installing zips, don't be. It is super simple. The only thing that made this tricky is the colour of yarn that I've used, the joining yarn. So I have finished the comfy sleeve and I've finished the comfy crossbody, and look at them, they're so cute. I also have my comfort cushion, and eventually when I put out my collections plural, when I put out my collections in August this year, 2025, these three will be a little mini bundle, because they all are matchy. And I'm actually working on this in a smaller size as well. I don't know if that will make the final cut or not. So we have got 2 finished bags. This one will be out in August 2025, and this one is available until the end of March on my website at the moment as part of the sub squad. And then after that it will be out in August. Anybody that has had a pattern from the sub squad will get discount codes for anything else that is released that is relating to it in the future. If you wanted to get the bundles, and also everything will be released as a standalone pattern anyway, so please don't hold on thinking, well, I want them all so I'll get them later. Like, you will still be able to get them all later and you won't be overpaying. So in terms of works in progress, I have been working on the next bag, which is for May and June. My reasoning for that is I've always wanted to get ahead, and I feel as if I have just been slowing my own roll. And I've got quite a few things that I'm basically planning for and working towards. So I'm working on that bag. I'm also working on the frilly pouches. I don't know if you remember what they look like. I can grab one. These are the frilly pouches, and they are join as you go, whereas these are continuous join as you go. Granny squares, and then you have the orange frill, and this needs the zip, as do the other 2 sizes that I've been working on. And then I also have a frilly cushion to go with it, and there may or may not be a bag on the way, depends if the design comes together. So next on my list is to put the zips into those. I'm working on a smaller version of the comfy sleeve as well. Other than that, in terms of crochet, there just hasn't been a whole lot. I haven't really felt like crocheting. The last couple of months have been I felt very distracted, and there's just been and so I haven't reached for crochet, not even to make granny squares, and that isn't like me at all. And I have found more and more that I just don't want to do anything, and it's not necessarily a place of like depression, it's just a place of I'm so tired and I'm so drained, and I feel like I've took my foot off the pedal and I'm hibernating, which is quite ironic because we're also going into the spring, so a little bit out of sync there. But then the other reason that I have felt distracted is because there has been so many things going on at home, like project wise. I decided that this is the year that we're going to extend the path in the garden, so I've been digging that out by hand, and it means taking extra paving stones from the front garden to use them in the back garden, and so all of that is in a little bit of a muddy mess. And then rather than just focus on the one project and get it done, of course I started all of the projects to further overwhelm myself. But hey, the chaos and the excitement also can be fun. And the kitchen has been bothering me for the longest time. We've been here coming up for 5 or 6 years, but the kitchen side, I was like, okay, let's just get started. And most of what needs to be done is a lot of prep and cleaning. So like, I've taken down the shelving units, I've taken down a cupboard, I've taken down the microwave, because Brad had it on this awful stand that put it on the wall like he was like a 1980s granddad or something. So that, I've taken that down. I took down the shelving thing that he had for the saucepans that I also absolutely detested. And all that I need to do now is clean it, prep it all, fill in the holes, and then I can go and get the paint. The other thing that's been going on is we are really pushing to get a load of items just sold and cleared out to make space. We have Teddy's old pram, his baby pram, like the travel system. We need to just clean it and then list it and get it sold, and we've been meaning to do that for like 2 years now. So we started doing that at the weekend, and that's half done, and there's bits everywhere, and we're mainly selling those items so that we can clear some space, but also we're really trying to reach a certain amount every month to make an overpayment. And I spoke about our budget and finances in a video, so I will do my best to link it below for you. So all of that is going on as well. So not only is the kitchen completely upside down because I removed a cupboard without putting any other storage up, I removed a cupboard and a shelving system. So all of that is currently over the dining table, the kitchen table, and then we have the travel system in various parts in the kitchen. And on top of that, we've been having some car issues, and so our car is in the garage, and the car seat and the pram that are usually in the car are also in the kitchen. So it's fair to say that I'm feeling quite scattered, really like pulled in all these different directions. Although I have crochet plans, I've got a lot going on in day-to-day life, and I'm going to be really relieved once the kitchen is done, because it will feel like my space, our family home. Both Teddy and I don't do well with mess and clutter, and it is a mess and it is cluttered. So yeah. In terms of like life stuff, health stuff, I did actually I had a check-in with a mental health nurse Wednesday, and we did the pre-ADHD assessment thingy. To be honest, I didn't really think that I was going to score. I thought she'd be like, no, like, it's not you, it doesn't fit you. Even though I know that it does fit me, I was like, oh, what if I've got this wrong? And then she did the questionnaire, and then she was like, so yeah, you definitely need an assessment. And I was like, oh, okay. And she was like, yeah, you need 6 positive answers to be referred. I was like, all right then. So have I got that? She was like, you got 18 out of 18. And I was like, aced it. I've got the autism paperwork in the post on the way to me. That's like a 40-page thing. Another big thing that we've done, big for us anyway, we decided to deregister Teddy from any scheduled activities or classes. So he was doing French classes. He enjoyed them, but he was struggling so much with the noise and the environment that it just wasn't accessible for him. And he kept telling me that it was bothering him. Bothering is like an understatement. He was telling me exactly how he was feeling, and ultimately I want to teach him to honour what his body says, and if an environment doesn't suit him, to then just leave the environment. And yes, there's always going to be times when you're going to need to push through, but I don't agree that day to day, week to week, you need to be pushing through these environments. And I always come back to this saying that if a flower doesn't bloom, you fix the environment. And I'm gonna run with that with my child, that if he's not blooming in an environment, then I'm gonna alter the environment to the best of our ability. As I was growing up, there was a lot of, well, what are you gonna do in the real world type thing. But we are in the real world, and people can work from home, people can work remotely. There's things like food delivery, so you don't have to go into the shops, and there are things out there that you can choose to do that make your life more manageable, make day-to-day life more accessible. And these activities were really bothering him, and there's a fine line between wanting to push your child but also needing to protect them, and he was telling me enough was enough. And so I said to him, I'm listening, I hear you. And we also made the really difficult decision that we would not take him to church for a little bit as well, and that one has come with a lot more feelings involved. But then also I had to be honest with myself and say that I had been really struggling with that environment as well. But all I know is that since I had Teddy, more and more I was finding that I didn't have the resilience that I used to have previously. So in these environments I was finding it extremely tough, and then it went from needing maybe a couple of hours after to like reset. That started to stretch to needing a day, a couple of days, and then that started stretching into the whole week. And then by the time the following week came around, I still didn't feel like I had like reset, and I just had to hold my hand up and say, this is draining me more than it's nourishing me right now, and I just need a break from everything. And that's not me saying there's fault with church, I'm just saying that I recognize how much I've been struggling in some of these scenarios, these environments, and so we've decided to take a break from everything. I can only speak from our experience, but I am really hand on heart glad that I did it. It's made a big difference. It's still making a big difference. At first, a few little like gremlins in my head of like, have we done the right thing? How isolating is this going to feel? And I also just said to Brad, I feel so depleted and exhausted, and I have just wanted to spend days and days and days sat on the sofa. And both Teddy and I did that in the very early weeks. We just sat on the sofa and we didn't really move, and I just went with it because that's what we both needed. And now we are spending hours and hours and hours in the garden and going and doing different bits and pieces. Once I'd made that decision, I was just very honest with my closest friends and just told them exactly what's going on and how I've been feeling. And they have been amazing. They have really rallied around. They make sure that they're ringing me regularly to check in. They come here to visit. So basically they're meeting me on my level, if that makes sense. Like whatever I feel socially that I am capable of in this moment, they're meeting me there. So if that is them coming home to see Teddy and I, if that is just visiting for a short amount of time, regular video calls, messaging, and I can't tell you the difference it's made for me. I feel so much better. I was getting very anxious the night before and a few days before, needing to go somewhere. I was worrying about how Teddy would cope, and I was worrying about how I would cope. And then I've been struggling with so much fatigue, like bone weary fatigue, and I've been having some health things going on. I've had some issues that they think might be my liver, and I just was like, enough is enough. If I have anything serious going on with my health, then I am not going to push myself into environments where I don't feel happy. So why am I doing it now if I do or don't have my health? And in terms of Teddy, again, I don't want to share too much because this is his privacy, but for any other parents that are interested, I will say that I had seen a big difference in his tolerance. Seen a big difference in my tolerance and a big difference in his. We have gone through a very long period, sort of from end of September until early February, a really long period of bath refusal, teeth brushing refusal, like extreme. And if Teddy ever watches this, I don't mean extreme as in like I'm saying that you were being dramatic or anything like that, just the level that he was feeling pained by certain stimulus was really hard to see because I know how much it was bothering him. And I never ever will force Teddy to do anything. If he's telling me that he can't get in the bath because of whatever, and even if he can't give me a reason, I trust him. I know he's not manipulating me, and I know that he's truly struggling. And so we've been giving him warm washes and things like that to get around it. With teeth brushing, I never pushed it. We've been slowly building it up and just putting some toothpaste around his teeth with our fingers if that's all he can tolerate. And I'm not gonna lie, when you're 6 weeks in and your child doesn't want to have a bath, you do think, is this ever gonna get better? Have I done the right thing? Should I have just forced him into the bath? Is that what's better for him in the long term? But I stayed with what I knew, what I felt to be right for him. And since we've stopped taking him to these busy places, that's like the best word I can use for him, busy places, all of that has lifted. So he's now requesting his baths, and daily. He's requesting them every single night, and we haven't seen this in him since September last year. He's brushing his own teeth. He is trying more like different foods. He's tolerating more textures. He started playing with his chalks. He started playing. Like I felt like for quite a while he just was not interested in so many things. And he's doing Play-Doh and he's playing with chalks, and all of these are textures that previously he would have been like, no way, no. And now when he wants his screen time, he's getting his screen and he's taking his colours and he's got his puzzle books and he's got that there, but he's also doing other things. He's not just shutting down and shutting everything out. He's not zoning out anymore. He's zoning into what he wants to do, and it's made such a difference, and I'm so glad that we've done what we have done. I don't know how we're gonna like re-enter these bigger social events. I don't know at this point. All I know is that we're going to tread really carefully, because the difference that I have seen in Teddy, I have no desire to impact that and see that disappear. The other really big change I've seen is his sleep. The only nights we have had the so previously Teddy would wake almost every hour and he would really struggle to settle, and please believe me when I say we have tried everything. There was no real rhyme or reason. You couldn't particularly pinpoint. It wasn't cold, hungry, this, that, the other, and we haven't had any of that bar 2 nights. One night when the car broke down when I was in it on my own and he could hear me ringing Brad and he was upset, and the second night was when the car broke down when all 3 of us were in it and the police had to come out because where we stopped was a dangerous situation. And so after both of those nights, we saw the disturbances in his sleep. Other than that, his sleep has altered dramatically, and I can't tell you how life-changing that is either, because I have a nearly 3-year-old that had never previously slept more than 5, maybe 6 hours once in his entire life. And on the worst of the worst wakeful nights, he could wake every 20 minutes. And then to have a child now that will do 8 hours, and don't get me wrong, sometimes he needs resettling in that he talks in his sleep or he will check to see where I am. But in the 3 weeks, he's only woken up at 3 a.m. twice, and that was after both of the car incidences. And then he's only had late nights again after the car incidences. I'm amazed. I'm absolutely amazed, and I'm learning a lot. And I'm also thinking to myself, okay, I really need to help him listen to his body and honour what it needs. I'm not going to make any apologies for making the choices we've made, and I'm not allowing myself to feel guilty or to feel embarrassed or ashamed. This is what I want to teach Teddy, is to listen to himself and do what feels right for him, not do what everyone else assumes is the right thing. I started journaling again, and when I was writing, I wrote that I really want Teddy to feel safe and secure and loved, and I want him to be able to listen to his own body instead of trying to crowd it out. And I want him to be his true self and be himself proudly and not let anyone try and change that. And then I realised that the only way I can teach him that is if he sees me doing that for myself. and then that very next day we made all of these changes. So I'm gonna say thank you so much for watching this. I hope that you have enjoyed following along, and thank you for giving me someone to talk to, and thank you to every single person that has given a 5-star review or any review on my Etsy and on my website. Thank you so much for absolutely everyone in the sub squad. I'm going to put your names on the screen now. Thank you so much. Thank you. I want to do a shout out to Zoe and Shard for being so very kind and supportive on our last sub squad chat, and just really encouraging me to talk about these things. And I thank you for opening that door, because I was so scared to step through, and you literally have walked with me. So thank you so much. Thank you for emailing me, thank you for checking in on me. And I also want to say thank you to each and every one of you for watching this. Thank you so much for all your comments, and for everyone that's reached out to me on Instagram, like you wanted to share more and you've DM'd me on Instagram, and thank you, because thank you for just reaching out and letting me know like I'm not the only one, and just being there and being supportive and sharing your stories. And just thank you so much for offering your friendship. I can't thank you enough, and I'm going to see you in the next one. Take care, team.